Alrighty, this is our second prerequisite, like pre-Unit 8 video. One thing I want to mention, looking at the Unit 8 notes, you're going to see this word quite a bit. Quadratic. Let's see, there's another one over here. Boom, let's zoom in on it. Boom, another quadratic right there, right? Let's zoom out a little bit, see if we can find it. Using the calculator, no, there is one. I mean, this function over here is a quadratic, and we see the word quadratic again right over here. Now the issue is that normally in class, we would have gone through a whole unit where a major topic is talking about what quadratics are. But because they're so graph-based, we, can't really do that, or at least I'm trying to hold off on graph stuff for now. Because we don't all have the same calculators anymore. It's tough. It's tough to do graph stuff without like being in person together. We might have to do it, but we're not there yet. So we're going to talk a little bit about quadratics in this little pre-lesson over here. So what you see on your screen now is a picture of a quadratic. Every single quadratic is always going to look similar to this. It's going to be some kind of U-looking shape. Hold on, I'm going to... Looks like my FaceTime cam is working okay, but this presenter is really kind of lagging. Let me just zip back and forth. Still kind of lagging. Oh, you know what? Not as bad. Okay, cool. I can work with this. So every single quadratic, right? We saw quadratic a couple times in that in the notes we were just looking at it. Every single quadratic is going to look sort of like this, where it's this U shape. It might be like this. It might, I'll do a little sketch up over here. It might be facing down, right? It could be a smiley face, or it could be a rainbow, like that one over there. But ultimately, it's always going to be this kind of U-looking type thing. And one thing that you might have noticed when I pointed out the quadratic on the other page, a quadratic will always, always, always have a x squared term. It will always have an x squared term. That's how you know that it's a quadratic. It might just be an x squared by itself. It might be something like x squared plus 4x plus 3. This is the most common way that you'll see a quadratic. And if you were paying attention to the previous video, you might realize that all of the answers that we found when we were multiplying our binomials, they always ended up with an x squared plus something x plus 3. Oh, actually, look, I use the exact same example over there. But every single one of my answers from the FOIL video, just from before, x squared minus 3x plus 2, all of them had an x squared in it. X squared plus 2x minus 35. And we also had this, whoa, my goodness, it's starting to lag again. X squared plus 19x plus 88. All of them have an x squared. All of these answers from the previous video were quadratics. So if we were to graph them, and feel free to do this if you have the TI application or you're using Desmos, feel free to go back and graph those from before, but they're all going to look like some sort of U shape. And the only thing we're doing in this video is just saying, hey, that's what a quadratic is. A quadratic is a special type of function, a quadratic function. It is a special type of function that has an x squared, and its graph is going to look like either this smiley face or this rainbow over here. There are two more vocabulary words that I'll use because I don't think the third one we're going to talk about for a while. The two more vocabulary words, very important parts of a quadratic, are the following. They are these places wherever you hit the x-axis. So this is one really important bit. Wherever you hit the x-axis, this is going to get in the way, my picture's going to get in the way. These are called either your zeros. Oh man, I'm so sorry about that. My handwriting's always bad, right? You already knew that. Zeros, roots, and often we'll also call them the solutions to your quadratic. So if they ever talk about zeros or roots or solutions, wherever it hits the x-axis, that's what those are. One little side note about this vocabulary term, my zeros, roots, or solutions, is in this case, and in my little rainbow up there, it hit the x-axis twice. I had 2 solutions, 2 zeros, 2 roots. And that's your most common circumstance. But every now and again, you might end up with a situation where my quadratic looks like something like this, where it only just barely touches right over there. In this case, there's one solution. And I'll draw one other little sketch. There's another case where it might be like this, and it's just floating above or below your line. In that case, there are no solutions to this quadratic. There are no zeros, there are no roots. While I'm on the subject of drawing a couple things, one other thing I want to mention is it is always going to be a U or it's always going to be a rainbow. You do not have any C's like this. This is not a quadratic. This is something weird. It's not that. And you don't have any like backwards C's. There's not a letter that goes this way, right? You never... These two, these are not quadratics. Just point that out because you might see a picture like that. The final thing that I want to mention, and maybe I'll do this in another color if I can find it. Oh, there it is. This dot right over here, this is what we call the vertex. The vertex, this is so kind of wonky and laggy. My computer, by the way, is 2020. This computer is at least 6-7 years old. So, you know, it's doing its best. It's chugging along. Sorry. This vertex over here, it is the lowest point, or in the case of a rainbow, the highest point on your graph. It's where it turns, right? It's where the graph turns. It's kind of like it's going down here, down, 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 down. Hit that, boom. Hit the vertex, boom. Going up, 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 up. Or here, going up, 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 up. Hit the vertex, and then after that you go down, 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 down. Yeah, that's a vertex. It's an important point. For the most part, for the beginning of this unit, we're talking about these zeros or these roots or these solutions. Vertex, I think that's more of a thing that we covered in the last unit, but it might come up. These are the important parts. So just to review, this whole thing, a quadratic function, it has a square, an x squared term. It's going to look like a U or a rainbow. And then there are 2 bits of vocabulary that I really wanted you to know about these, other than that it's a quadratic function, are the places wherever it hits my x-axis. I don't care about hitting the y-axis over here. I don't care about that right now. Those are called my roots or my zeros or my solutions. And the point at which it's turning, or the lowest or the highest point of your graph, that's called a vertex. That's the video. I don't know. What more do you want?